Hello, people. Sorry about the technical difficulties we're having here. It seems to me that there was some misinformation given to me at my job, so I thought that, you know, that we had a meeting, but it looks like we didn't have a meeting. So now we are here and we are back. So we are back. We are back. We are back. Just checking on some things at work. But if you want to come back in the chat and join me, it was in there. BPS, I know you joined up later. I am back in there. Let's do this. NFC South talk. Mac the Giant fan, wherever you are, I know you're out there listening, lurking. And I would like to just say, come back in here. And Mac the Giant fan, he is interesting because he said something that resonated with me, and that is he said that the New Orleans Saints, that's right, New Orleans Saints are going to win the division. And so for me, this has been a clunky bit of a podcast, and I do apologize for the misunderstandings going forward. This is not happening again. It was a slight misunderstanding on my part. I thought something was canceled, and when you work and you do work and you're in line, you're supposed to be doing work, and you take some time to do a live stream, a lot of things can go wrong. I.e., your son walking in asking you for a million things, or your boss randomly telling you have a meeting, showing up and telling you, the meeting is not here anymore or it's over, which, is the norm in these things. I'm with a big company, so sometimes, these things happen. You get caught up in a meeting and caught up in things. But anyways, let's get back to the NFC South. I wasn't quite finished talking about Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is interesting because for a winning team, they've had some major changes. And I know that major changes may not seem, right or seem correct or seem true, but they have had some major issues and changes. And, to me, that is something that, needs to be addressed, needs to happen and needs to be part of the thing. Will they adjust well to Bruce Arians is different than Todd Bowles. I like Bruce Arians, but I mean, I shouldn't say I like Todd Bowles. I'm not going to lie to you there. I understand Todd Bowles, but I wouldn't have given him these numbers, right? And I don't know the reasoning behind the quote-unquote retirement and unretirement of Tom Brady. I will never know. We'll probably never know going forward. And that's part of the reason why it's very interesting to see and talk about, because there is a different dynamic there, right? He is not the offensive mind or the coach that he was. He won a Super Bowl as a defense coordinator. He was a decent coach for the Jets, not a great coach, decent coach. And now he has Tom Brady and guys in tow. So we'll see what happens there on that regard, in that front. I'm hoping to hope that, we will see a difference with this Tampa Bay team. Now, I can't count Tom Brady out. I just can't. I'm not one of those guys who does that, who needs to do that, who has to do that. I'm one of those guys who, to be honest with you and be real with you, I need to see Tom Brady in his element. You know what I'm saying? I need to see them with this team. Now, Tom Brady, let's be honest, is really the one running the show. I hate to use this comparison because I hate the player, but LeBron James comes to mind when I talk about Tom Brady. And not in terms of greatness, in terms of the real person who's running the team is Tom Brady, not necessarily Bruce Todd Bowles or anything like that. And Todd Bowles, is going to be strictly on the defense. He's not going to give a hoot dang about anybody in regards to that. So you know, the NFC South is a 2-team race. I feel right now. I mean, I can't put Atlanta in there. I can put Atlanta better than Carolina because they have less. They're less. They have less. They have less. They have less issues in that regard. On that note, than um than Atlanta. I mean Carolina. Give me 1 second. I need this for my computer anyway. So. The convo is the NFC South. If you want to jump on AK and kind of get your thoughts on the teams in the NFC South, but it's mostly the NFC in general. But I'm running out of power, so I'm trying to look for my power strip. That's why I've taken a minute, to get out there. But if you want to jump on, I put the link in the Twitter. You're more than welcome to jump on and give your thoughts. But I'm about to move on from the NFC South because I talked about Tom Brady. But if you want, AK, there is. There we go, folks. Unlimited power. Whew, that was close. So, anyways, what? So, Mac, the Giant fan who was in here, he was saying that New Orleans is going to be the overall winner of the division. And like I was saying before, I like what Bucks did. I don't know if they've done enough to keep going, but Todd Bowles is interesting. He's no Bruce Arians, right? He had a little success with the Jets, and I wonder what the underlying reason was quickly, right? Was it Bruce Arians decided to retire, and then that means Todd Bowles is going to be good? What are the underlying reasons? You can't tell me that Tom Brady all of a sudden decided, you know what, I'm going to come back, and that's it, right? You know what I mean? We'll see what happens. But I think they're on two different playing fields, Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians. Now, They have 4 quarterbacks on the roster right now. Probably won't have 4 on the roster. Probably may not even have 3. Their running back is Leonard Fournette. Right? I think Ronald Jones is not. It doesn't look like Ronald Jones is here anymore. So there is that. There is that change. They also have Russell Gage, who I happen to like a lot, like I was telling you about. He was a 6th-round pick for the Atlanta Falcons. And let's look at his numbers. His first year did nothing. His second year, he had 440 yards. His third year, he had 786 yards. And this year, he had 770 yards. And he only started 9 games. He played in 14. He started 9. Right now, he's going to be playing on Tampa Bay, where they've got Chris Goodwin, okay? They've got Scotty Miller. They have Bashad Perriman, I don't really like him. And they have Mike Evans. Russell Gage, I think, is going to the right place, the right team. And he's going to be a good fit. Tom Brady is going to make Russell Gage a household name by the time it's done. You know what you guys need to do? Go back and watch that 2020 America's game. You really get an understanding of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But going through their defense, going through their team, they got a lot of guys that we like. You know, they drafted Logan Hall out of Houston last year, the end. It's like the rich get richer. They have Akeem Hicks from the Bears, who's like leaving. He was a decent player for the Bears while his tenure is there. So I can see him, replacing. He probably replaces Ndamukong Suh, probably cheaper than Ndamukong Suh. Let's see what the contract he signed. Doesn't say. He just says he's signed with Tampa Bay. He's probably replacing Ndamukong Suh. And then they have Vita Vea as your nose tackle, who got a big deal, got an extension this year for playing what he needed to play. He got an extension, 4 years, $73 million for the Buccaneers. Woo! Woo! Man, that is a big deal for that guy. And then you got their linebacking core, which I absolutely love. You got Shaquille Barrett, who had 20 sacks recently. So their defense is staying pretty stacked, right? He had 19 and a half in 2019 when they got ousted in the playoffs. They didn't win the Super Bowl that year. They lost to 49ers. But they went to the Super Bowl in 2020. He was part of it. He had 8 sacks. Last year, 10 sacks. Mostly what his numbers are. He got that big contract from Tampa Bay as well. I don't blame him, And then you have our man, who is a decent player. It looks like JPP is not there. So it is good to go on Tampa Bay. Let's move on from Tampa Bay. All right. Well, I like their defense. I'm surprised they don't have. I'm missing. I thought they had Jason Pierre-Paul. I could be wrong. It doesn't show up on their roster, which is interesting to me. Let me go look at this up. Jason Pierre-Paul. He apparently has no team. He's not retiring. He was injured last year. Played through an injury. I would love to see Pierre-Paul come back. Looks like he's not signed right now. That's going to get done. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time Pro Bowler, and has 91.5 sacks. JPP, love that guy. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to the next thing. I know this has been a clunky podcast. I'm so sorry about all the distractions from the meetings and everything like that. I was told by my boss that we didn't have a meeting, so this is why I would do a live. If I knew I had a meeting, I would have done it, but it looked like the stand-up was canceled, so I didn't bother showing up to the meeting, and here we are. It was moved. I didn't get a new movement. Anyways, all good in the hood and not good in the hood. Everything just froze on me. What else is new? What else is new? But with that being said, we'll continue on to the NFC North. So if people aren't familiar who was in the NFC North, Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, and Detroit. Now, out of the NFC South, I think 2 teams are going to make that play. I think Tampa Bay will win 1 more game. They'll be 10-7. Tampa Bay will probably lose 1 more game. They'll be 12-5. So I think 2 teams right now from that division are going to playoffs. Possibly a third team could sneak in from the NFC West, probably the 49ers. But here we go. So right now we're at 2 teams. So we're at 4 teams in, and there are 4 spots remaining. So Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, and Detroit. That is the NFC North. Now, if you guys are familiar with the NFC North, you know that the Green Bay has been dominating the NFC North since God knows when. You know, who knows how long they've been dominating. It's been such a long decade of dominance with the Green Bay Packers owning this division that it really makes it fun to see. I know a lot of people are saying the Green Bay Packers aren't the team that they were last year. And I agree with you there. But let's not forget that this team went, and I'll get the record for you, this team went 13-4 last year. So it's not like there's going to be this huge drop-off all of a sudden now that they lost Devontae Adams. You know, I'm not saying that that he wasn't a focal point of the offense. He wasn't a good player. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is as long as you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a puncher's chance in every game. They still have A.J. Dillon. Oh, hello. Oops. Oh, hello.
What's so funny?
I am having a rough stream, but you coming on is probably going to right the ship. So we've moved on from the NFC South. If you have any comments, you're more than welcome to make. I moved on to the NFC North.
NFC South, that's Panthers, Bucks, Saints, Falcons.
Yes, and Matt the Giant fan said that the Saints are going to win the division.
Wait, what?
Yes, he said it.
Who did?
Mac, the Giant fan, said New Orleans is going to win the division.
Hot take. Okay.
Yes, and I'm glad it was on my show.
Listen. I understand where he's coming from. You know, I mean, they do have a really good team still. They added some really good pieces. But dude, I'm not sold on Jameis Winston yet. You know, I understand the man was 5-2 last year before he got injured, but that was also with Sean Payton. You know, I consider Sean Payton to be a Mike Tomlin type coach where it's like, dude, these guys hardly ever had losing seasons. They knew how to coach. They knew how to play their players. Like Sean Payton was a really good coach. I don't know what their new coach is going to bring. I don't know anything.
Dennis Allen is he's interesting because he's not a great coach. He was playing with he was with the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Did terribly with them, but that's not on him. You know, the Raiders were a shit show back when he was coach.
Yeah, so, more along the lines of I don't know how the team's going to respond to him is what I meant. Like, you know, the players got to respond to the coaches. I don't know what kind of coach he is, if he's a player coach, if he's a coach's coach. I don't know much about him, dude. So I know where Mac's going with it. I mean, they got Matthew there. They've got their wide receiving core back. Kamara's out for what, 3 or 6 games, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think it's 6 games.
6. You know, like they have the pieces. Can they put it all together? You know,
well, like, you know, the same can be said about Tampa Bay, right? They have a
sure.
coach.
Yes.
I mean, Todd Bowles. I don't know about you, but I don't really believe in Todd Bowles. But when they have Tom Brady on there, it's a totally different story, right? Now, if you go down and compare them, right, you went coach to coach, it's a wash, right? But if you go to quarterback, obviously I'm taking Tom Brady over Jameis Winston. And with the addition of Russell Gage, with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and that whole team, I just think Tampa Bay is, you know, Tom Brady doesn't come back for anything. He's not going to just retire and be like, I'm going to come back. He's coming back because he sees they're going to win and win big.
For sure. I think that Todd Bowles is going to be a dark horse coach this year. I know Tampa Bay, he was their defensive coordinator for the last 2 years. I know they really look up to him. I know a lot of people hold him in high regards there in Tampa, so the respect level is going to be there, and I believe Todd Bowles is why Tom did come back. So, I'm with you, man. It's going to be either the Bucks or the Saints. I just don't know. Gronk not being there really gives Tom a downfall for a little bit, because they do still have Cameron Brate. They still have OJ Howard, I believe, right? Or no, did Howard leave?
I think they still have OJ Howard.
Okay. But still that's a shot not having Gronk. Gronk's different than all of those guys. So, but dude, they still got weapons, man. I don't see them having that harder time.
They have Cameron Brate. OJ Howard's in Buffalo.
Brate. Yeah. Okay. So Howard did leave, but yeah, they have Brate, but Brate's not Gronk. None of those guys there are Gronk.
Who's not? I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But, to me, Cameron Brate did do okay, and when you have Tom Brady, you just have to be in your spot. He's going to make you better. So,
for sure.
And I agree with what you're saying. The thing that I don't understand is that why does he not like Bruce Arians? Because to me, I think Bruce Arians retired to give Todd Bowles a chance, and with doing that, he probably knew that Tom Brady would come back.
Well, Bruce didn't retire, didn't he? He took a front office job, right?
You're right. He didn't retire. Well, I call it retiring from coaching.
Well, yeah. No, I just wanted to make sure I was correct, and I'm not being.
You obviously are correct.
So he is in the front office, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
He took it. So, and then they promoted Todd Bowles, which basically it's like Pat Riley, right? Pat Riley is really just an overseer of Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra is a good coach, but as long as Pat Riley was always in the shadow until he won, you kind of felt like it was really Pat Riley's team. I think it's kind of Bruce Arians' team, but Todd Bowles will be running the show. And he likes Byron Leftwich.
Well, and honestly, bro, you know what this really, really reminds me of? The Bucks remind me of Dallas. Like you have Mike McCarthy over there. Not many people like playing for Mike, but their defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, people love playing for him. So, you know what I mean? I believe Mike McCarthy and what's his name? Old head coach for Tampa. Bruce Arians. I think Mike and Bruce kind of have that same thing going for them, where they're good coaches, but their players don't respect them. You know what I mean? They respect their defensive coordinators more than they respect their head coaches. I think Mike's kind of in that same situation right now.
Right. We'll get to the NFC East, but
I'm just comparing them. I think that's kind of what we're looking at there in Tampa.
I think I'm going to put Tampa as number one right now because they have less turmoil going on with their
True.
team.
Yep. Same here.
We're going to the NFC North, and I think two teams are going to make the South for the playoffs. I think it's going to be New Orleans and Tampa Bay. I think two teams are going to make it from the West, and that's going to be the Rams and the 49ers. And then going to the NFC North, which has Green Bay, who went 13-4, Minnesota, who went 8-9, Chicago, who looks like a shit show at 6-11, and the Detroit Lions, who never win anything at 3-13. Now, for me, everyone goes, Green Bay is going to fall off because of Devontae Adams. Hello, they still have Aaron Rodgers. Whether you like that guy or not, they have Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. They're going to figure out a way to make that team work. Not to mention they did pick up Sammy Watkins, who, regardless of if you like him, produces wherever he goes. And now he's going to have his second best quarterback that he's ever played with, not to mention Christian Watkins that they just drafted, right? They still have Alan Lazard, who they like. They have Randall Cobb. They have a lot of guys who they can still get the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're playing with a deck. Yes, Devontae Adams is arguably the best receiver in the NFL. No, hands down. But Aaron Rodgers, if we believe he's elite, is going to make these guys good. He's going to elevate Randall Cobb. He's going to elevate Sammy Watkins. He's going to elevate Christian Watkins. All right. So I can't just knock them off because one guy left the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, they got Quay Walker as a linebacker. He's
good. Quay Walker's really good, dog.
Exactly. They got Kingsley Eggerby from South. Yeah, who was pretty good. So they retooled there. They still have Rashad Gary, who came through last year for them. They have Preston Smith, who they kept over the Darius Smith, So
Yep.
I can't say that their defense is not going to be that good. They still have Kenny Clark as their nose tackle. They drafted Jonathan Ford. They have Devontae Wyatt, who a lot of people liked out of the draft. So I think they did well there. Now their secondary might be their weak part, but I like Adrian Amos. They just drafted Tyreek Carpenter. We'll see how they do with a lot of these other corners who we don't know. I mean,
Jair's he's fighting Ramsey for number 1 right now in all of NFL. I mean, Jair is a stud, dude.
We're looking at a Green Bay team whose defense looks like it got better over last year. So I can't again tell them. Everyone's like, oh, Green Bay is not going to be. Nope, not going to buy it. Not buying it because the team has gone 13-3 and 13-4 in 2 years. All right,
yeah,
so they've won games and lost 7.
They're gonna fall off. I don't think they're gonna fall off, but I think the Vikings are gonna win that division.
The Vikings are gonna win the division? Are you kidding me?
Well, no. Listen, I don't pay that much attention to the Vikings because I never have cared for them, and frankly, they never worry me because they just don't. And I'm not gonna lie. I gotta ask, man, what the fuck is going on with the Vikings? I mean, we see every year and we all say, and yes, they are competitive. I mean, they have talent on that team, but when have they really, really been a threat other than when we beat them in the championship game?
You're right.
Other than that, when have they ever been a threat?
Well,
the
1 year they lost to the Eagles, they were a threat. When they lost,
and that was with Casey Keenum. That wasn't even with Kirk Cousins.
But let's be real though, the only reason they were good that year was because of their defense. Like I know they had a good.
Keenum was doing amazing that year, Slay.
No, I know that, but he got carried by Diggs and Thielen.
Who cares?
But what's that say though? And that's the thing I'm always trying to get around the people. But what's that say to Kirk Cousins? They can carry Casey Keenum, but they can't carry Kirk Cousins?
No, because their defense, the difference between that year to this year and the last 2 years with Kirk is that their defense has been trash with Kirk, and they had an amazing defense with Kirk.
His first 2 years, they weren't trash, though. He had the same team. No, he had the same exact team the year after Casey Keenum. He inherited that team.
I can put this to bed right now. All right, Minnesota, he came in and he threw for over Kirk Cousins 4,000 yards in 2018. He regressed in 2019. He threw for only over 3,500. In Minnesota, he's thrown back-to-back years over 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. Last year, he had 33 touchdowns and 7 intercepts.
Yeah, but bro, he did the same thing for Washington. He had 4 years straight of 4,000 passing yards at Washington and never.
How would you feel? How would you feel if you were in a shootout every game and your defense was straight up terrible as the quarterback? How would you feel?
Let's look that up. Let's look up the Vikings defense.
Well, I'm telling you, their defense wasn't that bad. The 1 year they were really bad because of injury, but it's still the same defense that got them to the championship games 4 years ago. I'm not even talking about this year. I know they got a whole new revamped defense for the most part this year. I'm seeing his first 4 years though, man. Like they still had Wilson there when he first got there. They still had all their defense. The other linebacker, what's his face?
Eric Hendricks.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they had their corners, they had their safeties. It was the same damn team the year after. Everyone said the reason that they didn't get to the Super Bowl that year was because of Casey Keenum. If they had a better quarterback, they could have competed better, right? And then they go out and get Kirk Cousins, and they never been to a playoff game since. Like you can't tell me
that. I mean, Minnesota was ranked 24th last year in defense.
Yeah, I'm not saying last year though. I'm saying the first 3 years of his career.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. He hasn't done for what all Kirk Cousins has been talked about. He hasn't done enough. I mean, this year you could say was a culmination year. He had his 2 best seasons last year, but that didn't mean anything because their defense sucks. Now, I don't think they're going to jump over the Packers. I think that's a. I could see New Orleans beating Tampa Bay and winning the division before I see the Vikings beating Green Bay and taking the division. Only because Green Bay has won 13 games like 3 years in a row, and Minnesota can't get out of their own way. Mm-hmm. Every year, Minnesota, we talk about how good they're like the sexy team. We always, the dark horse, they're going to be in the Super Bowl, blah blah blah. Next thing you know, they're 8-8. They're 8-8.
Like Slay, I understand what you're saying, bro, and I will give Kurt the benefit of the doubt, but please agree with me that so far in Kurt's career, he's just been a stat guy. His stats are great. I'm not gonna lie. He has great touchdown, the interception
No,
rate.
I'm not saying
He
that
has
he's
great
not.
passing. He's just a stat guy, but when it means to actually winning something, Kurt hasn't won shit
I'm
at
not
all.
saying that he's not a. I'm not saying that he's not a stat guy, but there were times where he actually carried that team, and took that team on his back. And I get that they have offensive.
Yes, but
weapons,
they've been a
he's
mediocre
proven it
team
before.
ever since he's been there. They've been 500 or at best, and they've underachieved.
He was
Right?
amazing the last 5 games of the season last year.
That's
but
great.
that
What did
didn't-
that get them? What did that
I
get them?
get that. I understand that. But my only thing with this is I think if you give him the right team and he's not always having to be in a shootout, and he has an actual good defense, I think he's a good player. I think the team can actually get to the playoffs and actually win games.
I think
Well, see, my argument with that whole thing though is, dude, he played in the NFC East for 4 years, and even then, to a point, we weren't even that competitive except for in 17. So it's like, dude, if he can't even win the NFC East at all, then how's the fuck's he going to go to a different division where teams are better and win?
Well, I mean,
that's kind of my point.
It's interesting when you say that, because if you look at the teams in that division, they have Chicago, who has no quarterback, and they have Detroit, who has no quarterback, right? So he's the second best quarterback in his division, and he hasn't won that many games where you're like, the Vikings are a solid contender. Now, granted, you do have a point here, Big Play Slave, because Green Bay and Minnesota were both tied for division record, right? They were 4-2 respectively in the division, but their records on the road, at home, Green Bay was 8-0 at home, and they were 5-4 on the road. Minnesota was 5-3 at home and 3-6 on the road. So there is where your issue lies, right? They need to win. If they win their home games and they can somehow knock off the Vikings and beat some of these teams, I can see it happening. But the problem I have right now is Kirk Cousins, in the biggest game of his career, was in 2016, where he had a chance to put the Redskins in the playoffs, and he blew it.
Yeah.
The biggest game of the year. Now, he wasn't even in the playoff run that we were talking about with Case Keenum. They went all the way to the NFC Championship game with Case Keenum at quarterback, and they have not sniffed it since. Now, don't get me wrong. I like his stats. I think he's one of those quarterbacks who's grown as the game has grown. We're similar to Dak Prescott in the way that he's exponentially grown his stats and has come into – he is playing at a franchise quarterback level. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, probably top 15 at least, right? I would take him now over my quarterback, and I hate Kirk Cousins. But I need to see more from him this year. If their defense does step up, like you say, they're going to be – I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be 2 teams from the NFC North making the playoffs this year.
For sure.
I think Chicago Bears are going to be terrible. I think they're probably going to be the worst team in football.
They'll be 4th. Lions will be 3rd. Because Lions actually have a decent team. They just have a
unfortunately
questionable quarterback.
Right. They lack talent. They were 0-8 on the road, right? And they were 2-4 in the division, and they won – somehow Detroit won 3 games at home, right? And I like their coach. I like what they did in the draft this year. I think they're preparing for next year's quarterback class or next year's quarterback free agency, whatever they got. You stockpile picks and everything like that. I think Detroit is up and coming. This is what we talk about with rebuilding teams. A lot of people get this fool's gold about them, like, let's win. What the Cincinnati Bengals did was an anomaly. They don't normally go from the worst team in football at 2-14 to representing the team in the Super Bowl. That just doesn't normally happen. But if they had won 7 or 8 games, we would have been like, all right, that's respectable, right? They're in the right direction. Now, the expectation levels are through the roof for Cincinnati. So for me, I like what teams like Detroit are doing, because they don't care about record. They care about putting the pieces in place so that in a few years, we're not talking about them as a laughing stock of the league. We're talking about a team. Like, look at the Browns, okay? Browns are case in point. They do Brown things. There's a reason why we say the Browns are the Browns, because even though they brought in Deshaun Watson, who, by the way, didn't even want to play in Cleveland, okay? They took him an extra $30 million to be like, hey, you want to play in this shithole of a team? And he was like, you know what? I'll take the money. Right? And now, regardless of what you think he did, he's probably going to play because he hasn't been arrested for anything. Okay, he hasn't been arrested for anything. These are settlements that are happening in court and lawsuits. Now, Alvin Kamara actually beat somebody up and went to jail. You know, he was in jail, got a police report, hence why he's going to be suspended. Deshaun Watson, again, I'm not getting into those legal things. I don't know it's what happened there. I wasn't in the room, so I can't comment on it. What I can say is this: because he's not going to be arrested, I don't think he's going to go to jail. But my point is that teams like the Browns, we always expect to be the Browns. Detroit, on the other hand, I think is going up and up. I know people think I'm crazy. I don't think they're going to be crazy, but I could see them winning 5-6 games this year.
No, dude, you're right there with me. I have them around 6 or 7. You know, I mean, dude, they have 2 good wide receivers now. You know, they got Hutchinson. Right. Their defense is getting better. They have Swift. You know, they got Hawkinson as their tight end. I mean, they got weapons, dude. This team is only going to get better. I mean, hell, they blew Arizona out last year.
Right. They played competitive.
2-6. You know, the only reason that they sucked was because there wasn't enough talent to keep up.
Right.
But this year they went out and they got talent, dude. I think the only thing that's going to hold them back is Goff. And if Goff might actually do good too. I have no idea, man.
Right. I think they were a competitive team.
Yeah, DJ Chark. They got Chark. They got the
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
St. Brown, and who was the guy? William or
they draft a guy right now.
Jameson Williams. Yeah.
Jameson Williams. Dude, they got 3 legit wide receivers over there, man. I think people are sleeping on Detroit. They really are.
You know, I think they finally got the right people in place to run. And that's why when we get to the Giants, I'll explain my optimism, but yet reality.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
I think they're going to be a better team. You know, I think on Thanksgiving you're not going to be as bored as you normally are because you're going to get to see some teams that are out there. Like you said, DJ Chark. They drafted somebody else. They have Amon St. Brown, Jameson Williams. Those 3 receivers right there. And let's not forget Josh Reynolds, not bad player. You know, they
got Akuda too, right? The corner.
Yes.
From last year's draft, I think.
Jeff Akuda.
Jeff Akuda from last year, right?
Yes, and they have AJ Park and Tracy Walker and Will Harris and Mark Gilbert. They got a couple guys in there to do well.
Yeah, they got some young, solid linebackers too. So,
well, and I think Chicago's terrible. I think Chicago.
Yeah.
I think the problem I have with Chicago is one, I don't like what I'm hearing about their quarterback. He's being kind of a douche, you know, in certain regards. But we'll see what they can do with Justin Fields. I think getting rid of Khalil Mack, getting rid of that team, and
Nagy.
You think he was the problem?
Yeah, I do.
Really? Okay, well, do explain because I don't agree 100%.
Well, I mean, I know. Listen, I know the Bears definitely had talent issues. You know, there's only so much Nagy can do, but man, there was times he did not put the Bears in the best position. I mean, he wasn't the worst coach, but they could do better. And I hope that by getting rid of Nagy and whoever and their new coach this year, I hope he can turn things around. I don't think Trubisky was as bad as what everyone thinks he was. I mean, he did actually have a winning record in Chicago, and many games he did battle them back and win, you know, the ones that he did. So, you know, I put a lot of blame on Nagy. You know, I don't think Trubisky is going to be bad in Pittsburgh this year, man.
Dude, I don't think he's going to start. Game-leading drive. He put a game-leading drive on us. It's just that Cody Parkey's a thing. So
yeah, like I think Trubisky was being held back. Honestly, man, I think he had a rough go in Chicago, and a lot of people blame him for that because all the QBs do get the blame when things go bad.
Well, I heard a rumor, from somebody that was a content creator. Now I don't know how true it is that Mitchell Trubisky, could not take the criticism, so they had to take all the TVs out of the locker room because they were criticizing him. Now.
Yeah, I don't know all that.
I don't know that, but me, him go. See, this is the thing about Mitchell Trubisky. If I'm on the free agent market like he is, right, and I'm looking at my options, and there was legit rumors he was going to the Giants. That was a legit possibility, right? And he goes to Pittsburgh because in his mind, they have nobody. I can beat out Mason Rudolph until Kenny Pickett comes along. Now, to me, Mitchell Trubisky is probably shooting himself in the foot, saying I should have probably went to New York, where I have a better chance of starting because the guy in front of me is not necessarily 100% guaranteed to keep his job, right? Kenny Pickett at number 20, they're going to be like pressing him to get into the lineup more so than Mitchell Trubisky. Now, granted, I think Trubisky is an average quarterback. I do believe he was given the raw deal in Chicago, just like a lot of other guys. I also believe that, things happen with these quarterbacks. Sometimes you need a fresh air. That's why when I say Daniel Jones needs to go, it's not that I hate him, but sometimes you need to get out of where you are, right? And get to a place where you can reset and relearn and kind of be out of the, it's like when you're getting bullied in school. Some kids transfer schools because, they can't fight the bullies off, right? And, sometimes you want to get out of the situation that you're in so you can try to make and reestablish something new. And I think you're right. I think Mitchell Trubisky has that chance. I don't think he's going to start the entire year. That's just me.
He'll get the start at the beginning, but it's what he does.
Kenny Pickett
at the beginning, whether or not Kenny Pickett starts later on.
Kenny Pickett is the quarterback 3 right now, by the way. I just want everyone to know that.
Yeah, no, he is. And listen, I truly believe that Tomlin brought Trubisky there for a reason, because if you look at the way Big Ben played when he first entered the NFL, and you look at the way Trubisky is playing now when he has first entered, Big Ben and Trubisky kind of play similar when Ben was young. They're not the most mobile quarterback in the world, but they're big bodied, they're hard to take down, and they can escape the pocket and get away if need be. And they have arms and they take chances. And dude, what better team to go to than Mike Tomlin, who's never had a losing season and has always been good with quarterbacks.
Exactly. So
it's his best place to go. It really is.
And I think I will say this. I will counter that only this. I think they got Mitchell Trubisky with the forecast of not knowing if Kenny Pickett was going to be there at number 20, right? So they hedged their bet saying, well, we don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to be there. At least we'll have a quarterback going in. He happened to land at 20 because the rest of the NFL is crazy. The people put too much in hand stock and all this stuff. Like, it's like, what are you on a dating show? Oh, what size shoe do you wear? You have a size 12. You know what that means? Just give me a break. I just tired of that bullshit. Sometimes I think the scouts overanalyze shit because that's what they're due. But it's like, oh, well, he can't throw this ball. Give me a break. Watch the fucking tape. Can the guy play? Yeah. Did he have a great season? Yes. Was he third in the Heisman voting? Yes. That's all I need to know. And then you draft him. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison absolutely carried that, man. That's all I got to say about that.
I mean, listen though, man. When you look at Pittsburgh, though, man. I mean, you got Harris, their halfback. You got 2 stud wide receivers in the rookie this year. No, the rookie this year up.
George.
That's in his name. What is it?
Chase Claypool too.
Yeah, and I was getting a Claypool, the rookie. They got Freiermuth, who's going to be an excellent tight end in the NFL. Yeah. Excellent tight end. Their defense is fucking stacked, bro. They probably have the best defense in their division, easily. So this defense can carry them. All Trubisky has to do is not mess up like he did in Chicago. And he has the weapons in Pittsburgh not to mess up. I think they start Trubisky for 1 year, use him as a bridge quarterback to give Pickett that 1 year to develop. And then they'll unleash Pickett next year. Tomlin's smart, bro. And if I'm thinking that's what he's going to do, that's what he will. But
he's probably, arguably, one of the best, if not the best, coaches in the league. And
for sure.
He is smart, and he will not let the pressures get to him.
No.
Even if the owner is saying start him, he's going to be like, look, this is my team. I'm going to run the show. I'm the one who's been to 2 Super Bowls, more so than, the same amount as Bill Cowher, right? Yep. They have 1-1, and he has a better record than Bill Cowher. So I love Tomlin. When I heard that he was on the chopping block, I was like, yo, Giants line up, getting
right. Right?
In front of him. I don't care if you need to back the Brinks truck. I don't care if you have to give him John Mara's salary.
Bro, I even made it known, no lie, bro. I said this a couple months back before free agency and all that shit started, right after the season ended. I said if the Steelers would fire Mike Tomlin, dude, get rid of Nick Sirianni and Brad Paul. Like, I don't care how good. I don't care that we even made the playoffs this year.
Right.
Like,
right.
Dude, Mike Tomlin is fucking Mike Tomlin. I would get rid of Nick for Mike.
I love that.
No question. Oh, I do.
He knows how to relate to players.
Yep.
Okay. He deals with all types of situations. His teams are always winning. Always winning. You know, they had a Ben Roethlisberger was bad last year. Let's call a spade a spade.
He held that team back. He held it back.
Right. He was terrible last year. He was playing. He knew it was his last year. He probably shouldn't have played, but he played anyway. And like you said, he held that team back. And Tomlin was like, fuck this. I'm going to keep rolling out this dude and figure out a way to win it. Obviously had a beast of a year for a season. But I'm just saying, man, like we need to give respect where it's due. He's probably arguably the best coach in the NFL.
And bro, think about that, Adam. You just said it. That was their worst year possible, and yet it was still a winning season, and they still had a 40-year-old quarterback, and that was still his worst season, and it was still a winning season. That's right. That's outrageous, dude.
In one of the best divisions in football.
Exactly.
And not to mention the best conference I've seen in my lifetime. Right. Yeah. The AFC is probably the best conference I've seen this year in my lifetime. Right. I can't remember how stacked the AFC was according to what it is now. Like you got teams that got quarterbacks and weapons and, you know, and we got like 4 teams in the NFC that are going to do well. But that brings me to our last and final division on this great day of NFC preview. NFC football conference preview is the NFC East. Now, just for people to know, 2 teams will make it out of the North. I think Green Bay and at least Minnesota will be fighting for a wild card spot. Whether or not they make it, we'll see. But the NFC East, the Cowboys 12-5, the Eagles 9-8. I'll refrain from negative comments because 2 of my friends right now are Eagle fans. But
go for it. I don't care.
The Washington Commanders and the New York 4-13 Giants. Where let's start with this team. Because this is what I have to say about the Giants and Giant fans. I'm a Giant fan, as you guys know. I'm very optimistic. I am happy with the direction of the team, the guys that have come in, and that they've put in place. What I don't believe is going to happen is these Giant fans keep smoking whatever they smoking. And, hey, you can break me off a piece because I'd like some of that you're smoking. I had a friend of mine tell me, oh, the Giants are going in, they're going to beat Tennessee, and Tennessee has no idea what's going to hit them. I said, are you kidding me? Tennessee was the number 1 team in the AFC last year, and mind you, is in the best conference and can't lose a game to a team that went 4-13 last year. Otherwise, their season is going to go out of control. If I'm the Tennessee Titans and I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm sitting there looking at the Giants, and I look at my team, and I'm in the locker room, and I go, if you lose to this ball club, I'm firing each and every one of you.
Oh, shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to put your name there. I thought my name would pop up. Sorry. That was me, Jeff.
Hold your tongue.
I thought my name would pop up. I apologize.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it came up you. It came up you. I didn't know that. Sorry, my bad.
I'm a Ghost Rider. That's what I'm going to put in there. You know, but, you know, I think the Giants are ultimately going to win 6 games, maybe 9 if things break right. Yeah, if ifs and buts or candies nuts every day would be fucking Christmas. Give me a break. Okay? This team was 4-13, and we act like we have delusions of grandeur. All of a sudden, Brian Dable comes in, and he's fucking Bill Parcells. All of a sudden, Joe Stain comes in, and he's not making a mistake. We haven't even got to training camp. Kayvon Thibodeau, Kadarius Toney, and Kenny Golladay aren't even on the fucking field. And we're in fucking October. We're in fucking June, July, wherever the fuck we are. And we want to talk about winning team. Oh, well, Giants can beat this team. Are you fucking kidding me right now? And I'm sorry to curse, but it just gets me fired the fuck up. We go down the schedule. Oh, the Giants have a soft schedule. To who? You don't think that the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars are sitting there looking at the Giants saying, hey, we can beat that team? You don't think Houston Texans are doing the same thing in Detroit? No, but somebody wants to tell me that we're gonna go in week 3 and beat the Cowboys. We got the Carolina Panthers, who just got Baker Mayfield, who, by the way, is better than all three quarterbacks on that roster. So if he's starting the game and he has Christian McCaffrey, that team is that's not a walk in the park either. The only game I could say is possibly a gimme one is the Chicago Bear game. Every other game is 50-50 or worse. Okay, so you can't tell. I'll go down the fucking schedule right now so you people can understand where the hell I'm coming from. Okay, because as a Giant fan, I get pissed off about this, and I'm not trying to tell you fans not to be optimistic. No, I'm not trying to say that. All I'm trying to say is wake the fuck up. It's hard to go from 4-13 to 9 wins. I told you last year they were going to go from 6 to 10 wins. That's 4 wins. So I'm giving them 4. I'm giving them 3 max. 7. I see.
Well, bro, we went from 4 to 9. I mean, it is possible.
Yeah, but you're the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? You have a track record of being a feisty team. And
wait. I'm so tired of you guys saying that, though, as Giant fans, man, because listen, and us as Eagle fans, and Slay, please, correct me if I'm wrong here, but y'all are a fucking nuisance, too. Like, you want to sit there and say that we are a fighter, but, dude, I know we give you guys a lot of shit, but you guys are a thorn in our asses each and every fucking year. It don't matter if we're good or bad.
Like, y'all team that I hate the most than the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't even want to get $1 million. If you told me, Adam, I'll meet you at, whatever fucking building you want to meet, and I'll give you $1 million to hang out in Philadelphia for a day, I'd say take your $1 million and shut up your ass, okay? That's how much I hate Philadelphia.
Okay, but take the hate out of it, though. I'm talking just straight competitive, dude. You guys compete.
I'll take. Here's my thing, and I'm not meaning to cut you off. Every year, I think the Eagles are going to lose somehow by hook or by crook. You win games. I don't know how. I don't know why, but you do. And it's been a tradition since I've watched football. When you had Ray Rhodes as your coach, when you had Andy Reid as your coach, every time it's been the Eagles have found a way to. I mean, you had the Miracle at the Meadow. You have 2 Miracle at the Meadowlands. Okay, maybe 3 if you count Brian Mitchell, Brian Westbrook, Deshaun Jackson, and Herm fucking Edwards. Okay, you're the only team that I hate uncontrollably. The Dallas Cowboys they're a joke. We can get into them later. The Washington Commanders, I'm going to call them the Redskins because I'm not woke and I'm not going to go broke, so I don't really give a shit. I'm calling them the Redskins because that's what they were for 85 years. I'm not going to change it because somebody got an itchy asshole about that's all it is, an itchy asshole. If you look up their history, they had a Native American on their team, and they even went to Native Americans and asked them, can we use the name? And the Native Americans were like, yes. So now all of a sudden you want to be woke and call yourself Commanders? You sound like a fucking arena football team, But we'll get into them in a minute. Listen, the New York Giants and the Eagles are the biggest rivals, I think. I think you could say the Eagles are bigger rivals than the Cowboys. Even though the Cowboys have a following, I think the Eagles, to me, are a bigger rival because they're a lot closer than the Cowboys. As a matter of fact, the Cowboys aren't even in the East. So geographically, I don't even know why the fuck they're in this division.
No, I agree, bro. You know what they should do? They should switch Pittsburgh and Dallas. No lie. We need to revamp the divisions, bro, because we have teams that are in certain divisions that shouldn't even be in those divisions.
Right, and I get
like Dallas, NFC East, dude. One, they're not even in the East; they're in the South. And then you got Now, granted, the AFC North,
if you wanted to, if you didn't want to do Pittsburgh, I could see you moving Carolina to the East, okay? At least they're at least closer to them than any other team in the South, right? New Orleans, North Carolina's at least on the Eastern Seaboard. You can at least say, all right.
Bro, this is what I cannot stand, bro. NYG 22, how can you say you have a soft schedule when you won like 4 games last year? Like
your schedule was soft last year too,
dude.
Right, exactly. Sorry, this is what I'm talking about. Slay, I need the floor for a minute right now.
Go for it. Hey, by the way, before you go, bro, this is why I brought Adam in the hardcore sports, just so everyone out there knows. I love this guy's passion about his team. I love his energy. Do not worry about cussing, bro. That's why I called it hardcore sports, because this is for hardcore fans. So let your passion show, dude, whether it's happy or anger. I love it. I love the energy. Keep it.
Ooh, I'm about to boil. I'm about to blow a gas. If I were a furnace right now, I'd be going through the roof right now, because this is the problem that I have with Giant fans. You say every year we got a soft schedule. Who the fuck is a soft schedule when you have nobody playing on your team? Everybody acts like the defense has talent. We have 11 guys that are good. If we lose Leonard Williams, who are we putting in behind him? David Moa, don't worry. I'll wait till you look him up. Okay? Don't give me this, we have a soft fucking schedule. You don't think Tennessee's looking at us saying we're going to kick their ass? You don't think Carolina's doing the same thing? Give me a fucking break on this fucking schedule. I hate this shit because guess what? You don't play a game on schedule. You can play one in your living room when you're sitting there going, check, 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 check. Last year, I said on Giant stream after Giant stream after fucking Giant stream, listen to how we're going, 11-6, 12-5. We're going to beat Denver. Guess what Denver did? They stepped on our throats. We're going to beat Atlanta. Guess what Atlanta did? They embarrassed us at home. We were going to beat Washington. I had people tell me, fuck Washington. They ain't that good. We lost to them twice. We beat the Eagles once on a fluke-ass play because Jalen Reagor doesn't catch a touchdown in the back of the end zone. The Giants were 1-5 in the division. 1-5. They barely beat anybody. They beat the Carolina Panthers, who were 5-11. They beat the Raiders, who were in a bad state because they lost their receiver. Their coach was getting fired. All this turmoil. They caught him at the right time. Okay? That's 2 wins. We beat the Eagles on a fluke-ass play. That team was going down. Jalen Hurts was driving. I was at that game. I was at the game watching Jalen Hurts as he was dissecting the Giants' defense and getting the ball down to like the 20-yard line, throwing a dime of a pass to the corner of the end zone. If Jalen Reagor were any type of receiver, would have caught it in the game, would have been over. We wouldn't be talking about the Giants with 4 wins. They'd have 3. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. We act like the Giants come in here and all of a sudden Brian Dable, who, by the way, go look up his stats, has only had 2 top 10 offenses at all. And that was the last 2 years in Buffalo. Every other thing has been middle of the road. And all of his quarterbacks have been middle of the road up until Josh Allen. Okay, Wink Martindale got kicked off his team because he was blitzing and he had nobody. So now you're going to tell me that we have Adoree Jackson and some bum on the outside, and all of a sudden our defense is good? Give me a goddamn break. I don't mind the optimism. Be optimistic. That's what you're supposed to do nowadays. But to tell me and sit here, we're going to win games because our schedule is soft? No, NYG 22. I don't think the Giants are going to just walk in and beat the Panthers. What do you think the Jags are doing? What do you think the Lions are doing? What do you think the Panthers are doing? What do you think the Texans are doing? You don't think they see the fucking Giants and go, we can beat this 4-13 ball club? I'll keep this. I'll give you this as a reminder. By the way, Jacksonville and Houston both had the same record as the Giants. Okay, so that's a 50-50 game. There's no sure way we can win. The only game I'm giving you right now that I can think is a game that the Giants can win outright is Chicago.
All of those games are going to be hard.
I'm sorry to go on a rant, but it just gets on my nerves when I see people say we have a soft schedule. Because guess what? If you sit here and tell me we have a soft schedule, we end up 6-11 or 7-10, and I go back and say, well, we didn't beat Houston. You guys are going to be like, well, it's a soft schedule, and you're going to give me excuse after excuse after excuse.
Dude, they always say this every year. This team is different from last year. How? Explain to me how your team's different from last year, bro. Like, I don't get it, bro. Like, y'all said y'all was gonna win like 10 or 11 games. I heard Joe say y'all gonna win 12 last year.
Thank you.
Shout out to Joe, by the way. But I heard him say they're gonna win 12 last year. Zion said the same thing, 12 wins. And then it's like, I don't understand how you could say that and your team's been mediocre for the last 10 years. The only time you've been to the playoffs, you lost to the damn team that, you beat a couple years ago in the past with the Packers.
I'm sorry to blow a gasket, NYG 22, but last year, the same time, I heard the same shit. Giants are going to win 12 games last year. We got these Denver Broncos who stink. We have Atlanta who stinks. We have this team who stinks. And all they did was shit the bed in every game. Every game they shit the bed, okay? And now you want to tell me that they're going to go out there and do the same thing again. There's one thing to be optimistic and say, hey, I like the way that the way the team's headed. I like the coach that they brought in place. I think that they're going in the right direction in terms of how they're building and rebuilding the roster. I enjoyed the draft of Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. But outside of those two guys, everybody else is a question mark. I don't care if Wan'Dale Robinson had 2,000 yards in SEC. There's a reason he was a second-round pick. Those guys, they put more merit in the first 2 picks than they do any other round. People are telling me Josh Azudu is going to be a starting freaking guard. Okay, well, when he goes up against Fletcher Cox and Daniel Jones is eating turf, we're going to say, well, it's only a rookie. Excuse after excuse after excuse. I'm done with it. All I'm saying
I get it, man. Listen, like for instance, I know what you're saying because, you know, you guys went out and you got winked this year. You guys have a lot to be excited for. I understand completely, and I understand where some of these people are coming from. Excited.
I understand too.
But I get where you're coming from. Dude, we haven't even reached training camp yet. And you know, we as Eagle content creators, we even have some people on our fan base saying 16-1 already. So these guys haven't even hit training camp yet. Anything can happen between now and 89 days. Anything. Injuries, anything. Okay, your whole season could go up in smoke before the season even starts. You know, to sit here and say any team should be 16-1 or any team's going to win, you know, 12 wins or it's ridiculous. Now, the only reason I say 12 for us is because we had 9 last year with the limited talent roster that we had. And with the upgrades, I said, well, if we won 9 with these upgrades, we should be at 10 to 12 wins. You know, arguably, we should have 1 or 2 more from what we had last year because our team got better. Same with you guys, but you can't go from 4 to 12. And I get where you're angry about that. You know, even last year we were saying like 6 or 9, and then we ended up winning 9. But we were at the bottom end too because we didn't know where we were going to be. You know, but I get your frustration when people sit there and say stuff like that because you don't know. Like you haven't even seen it on the field yet. How can you literally say 12?
Well, here's another thing I want to mention that, and we'll move on to the other teams soon, but here's something I want to mention that people aren't mentioning or seem to forget. That last year I was watching the Kansas City Chiefs America's game. You know, they had that for the Super Bowl. They were rehashing all some of the big moments. And Tyrann Mathieu comes up and goes, it wasn't until week 11 that we got the defense right. You know, and my point is that was a team that was together for a long time. It took them 10 weeks that defense to gel. And now the Giants, who have all new personnel, all new coaching staffs, all new terminology. I listened to Daniel Jones comments and they're like, oh, yeah, it's an adaptable offense and all this stuff. Okay, that's fine and dandy, but it's going to take you a couple weeks to get on the same page. And people need to realize practice is what it is. It's practice, okay? And it's a controlled environment, which means, yes, Daniel Jones should be hitting a net. That's what he is. He's a professional quarterback. But I don't care about practice. I care about 9/11 when the season starts. And that Titans defense, who, by the way, people are sleeping on, is pretty good, comes in and the chaos starts. You know, it's 3rd and 11. And all of a sudden, they're bringing the house. Can Daniel Jones make the right adjustment, the right read? Will the receiver make the right read? When you give players too many things to think about, mistakes are going to happen. The reason they simplified the offense last year, by the way, Jason Garrett did one thing. He said to Daniel Jones, you turn the ball over, you'll lose your job. And they wanted to get the ball out, so they ran those shitty routes they ran. Now you're going to tell me that these receivers who now don't have a necessarily a way to get off, they're allowed to get off the line however they want, are now going to be able to read each other is absolutely nuts. Now, granted, however you feel about Daniel Jones is how you feel about Daniel Jones, okay? But I just think it's going to take a little while longer than people think that for this offense to gel. Mind you, in Buffalo, it took them 4 years to be really good. The first year, they were okay. The second year, Josh Allen was in the thing. You knew that he was good. And this is the question that I'm going to ask you and that I tell everybody else, okay? Justin Herbert, do you think he's good?
Yes. Why?
Let me ask you why. Because you can see it, right?
Because he is.
Right. So let me ask you this. Joe Burrow, is he good?
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
I'm getting to a point, fellas. Don't you worry. I'm getting to a point. So I just told you about Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, and you both say they're good. They played less seasons than a certain quarterback. Now, Daniel Jones, you look at him. Don't. Kidding aside, eyeball test. Do you think he's good?
He has flashes.
He's okay.
That's not what I asked. I said, do you think he's good?
He's okay.
He has flashes. He dude, like, okay, listen. There is times that I look at Daniel Jones. We talked about this already, Adam. There is times when I look at DJ and you know, he does have a nice deep ball. I won't lie. You know, he's got an arm, but there is things he does where when you sometimes see it, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. I get why they took him. And then there's things he does, and you look at him, you're like, all right, what the fuck was that? Right. You know, that's not normal. You know, he's too inconsistent.
Right.
I'm not saying that Daniel Jones can't be something. You know, I don't know what the hell he can be, honestly, but I don't think your coaches helped him that much. You know,
Right.
like we talked about, this team has only gotten worse since you guys drafted him.
Right.
So maybe there is something there, but it is way too hard to tell because he doesn't have the proper team around him to show it.
And the only reason I asked that question is because when I gave you Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert,
Yeah.
there was no hesitation in your voice. There was no explanation of benefits where you're like, well, you know.
Yeah. No, like they when you look at Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, you know automatically that they are the reason that their teams are playing better.
Right. And
now Daniel Jones is one of those quarterbacks that you need to build a team around them for them to be better.
And NYG, you're a great fan. I don't mean to blow a gasket, but the schedule thing makes me angry. My last point about Daniel Jones is nothing that we talk about ad nauseum. All I'm saying for this point is that when you watch tape and you look at a guy across the league and you're watching players play, there are no questions about Justin Herbert, who, by the way, played with a terrible offensive line his first year, and his offensive line wasn't that great this year. But you look at that guy, Joe Burrow, and him, and you're like, damn, those two guys, without a doubt, are good. When you go to a guy like Daniel Jones and you have to say, well, he does this or well, he does that, tells me all I need to know. If I'm still having to guess if he's good or say that this happened and that happened, then maybe that's the answer. Maybe he really isn't as good as it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing to say that he's not good. He just may not be a franchise guy, and that's okay. And that's what I want people to know. It's okay to know that he's mediocre. Okay? And, you know, even if he flashed, that's great. Case Keenum flashed. He went to the NFC Championship game. It doesn't make, you know what I mean? So,
I mean, listen, man, like you got to look at it this way. I when we talked last year at the beginning of the year, when we were talking about your team, I said the one thing that worries me the most is Daniel Jones's rookie year. He had 23 touchdowns. Ever since then, he's only had 11. He had 11, and then what did he have last year?
He had 22 touchdowns in the last 2 years.
So he had 11 touchdowns this past year too?
Yeah, I think he had 10 or 11 this year. So
okay, 10 or 11 this year, 10 or 11 last year. Dude, and he played 14 games the year before last.
Thank you, Authentic.
11 touchdowns. Do you know how many touchdowns normal quarterbacks have in 11 weeks? Not 11.
I watched Eli Manning in 5 weeks have 10 touchdowns. I was wondering
that's kind of my point. So there's nothing there that truly showed that Daniel Jones is taking that next step. When you go from 24 to 11 to 11, dude, you should be able to get more than 11 touchdowns in 14 games. Now you can sit there and say that it's the wide receiver, it's the team. Yeah, but then what about Deshaun Watson? Deshaun Watson his last year with the Texans went 33-7, and that team was shit.
Exactly.
I mean, dog shit. And he still threw 33 touchdowns in 16 games. So that's my point, and that's where I measured DJ, because it's like even with a real shitty team, you should have more than 11 touchdowns.
Look, Detroit had Jared Goff. He had 19 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Okay, and he played 14 games. That team was terrible. Okay, so if you want Jared Goff as your quarterback, by all means, keep Daniel Jones around. My point is, I think I agree with Mac on this. He's a shot fighter. Okay, and a shot fighter to me is a guy who may need a change of scenery. Doesn't mean he won't be good, you know. But to me, he needs. I mean, someone told me Derek Carr stat. Derek Carr had 4,800 yards last year and 23 touchdowns. Daniel Jones can't have his pedestrian 3,200 yards and 22 touchdowns. All right, if he has that, he better have Dak Prescott numbers and have like 6 or 7 rushing TDs, okay? Because to me, and we're not even sure he's going to play a full season, all right? Like 17 games is a lot. The guy doesn't think, you know? Yeah, look at this. He's at
sorry.
He should have more than 11 touchdowns right here, right? Like that's exactly the point. And Houston, here's another thing. Houston's defense was the problem for that. Even J.J. Watt said it. He said to Deshaun Watson, "We are wasting your golden years. I am sorry." Because that guy, and everyone's like, well, no, Deshaun Watson. If you put all the, allegations aside and you looked at the tape, you can honestly tell me that Deshaun Watson. I had Giant fans who didn't want Deshaun Watson last year. I'm like, are you kidding me? If Deshaun Watson had no legal problems, I would welcome him in, right? Derek Carr is a very good quarterback, and you're right, is super underrated. But yeah, his ceiling is Tannehill, but his floor is friggin', I don't know. I don't even know what his floor is. But Tannehill is not a quarterback I want. Okay? Tannehill is a bum. And the reason why he's a bum is look what he's done in the playoffs. I need a guy that's going to deliver, that's going to come through in the clutch. I don't need a Jimmy G who's going to ride the coattails of a great defense and a great special teams to end up short. Because at the end of the day, when you look at Jimmy G, what did Jimmy G do for that 49er team? He did nothing when it mattered most. Okay. And that's where it counts. What is Daniel Jones when it mattered most? Inconsistent. He hasn't beaten any team. Tell me the last team he's beaten that was a top 10 defense. Everybody he's beaten has been booty-ass teams or teams that were, influxed. Anyways, enough with the Giants. Enough with this craziness that is the Giants. Let's move on to the Washington Commanders, okay? The Washington Commanders, like them or love them, have improved. They just signed their receiver, Terry McLaurin. Good job on their part in doing that. He's one of the most underrated receivers in the game. Terry McLaurin doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Hopefully the quarterback here will allow him to be the receiver we all think he's going to be and capable of being, except for when he plays the Giants.
He's the best wide receiver in the NFC East.
He is
one of
by
the best
far
in the NFC East.
He is the best.
I put A.J. Brown as number one for me, just because A.J. Brown is an absolute man-child. I know you're being humble because he's on your team, and that's
no. I'm literally meaning that because Terry McLaurin has more 1,000-yard receiving years than what AJ does, and he did it with shittier fucking quarterbacks. So I have to give it to McLaurin because he did it with fucking Cousins, and then he did it with
he didn't have Cousins. He did it
with a bunch of bums.
He did it with Heineke.
Heineke.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, man. If you can get 1,000 yards with Heineke, hey, you're a dog.
Well, the thing is, if you're looking at pure talent, like I'm not necessarily basing it solely on stats. I'm just looking at A, where they were drafted, and B, the talent that I see. To me, if I'm starting a franchise now and I'm in the draft and Terry McLaurin comes up and AJ Brown comes up. As much as I love McLaurin, I'm taking AJ Brown. That's just how I'm doing it, and I'm telling you how I think. Yeah. Now, if you guys think that McLaurin is better than him, I think he's number two. I think it's AJ Brown, McLaurin, CeeDee Lamb, and then nobody on the New York Giants. I mean, Kenny Golladay maybe, but Kenny Golladay when he played for Detroit. If you put Kenny Golladay, the Detroit Kenny Golladay on the Giants, not the current one, I would put him there. But we have him being bad. Anyways. All kidding aside, the Washington Redskins, I know they got Carson Wentz. Whether you like him or not, he could be the best quarterback in the NFC East if he plays well. If he doesn't, he could be like Daniel Jones in the bottom of it. I think don't sleep on Washington. I know people are laughing about him. Even on NFL Total Access, I was watching him. Carson Wentz got a pretty ball, man. He throws a pretty spiral. It's tight every time. Yeah. It's just sometimes he gets in his own way. And I think –
and he holds the ball for too long a little bit sometimes.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens with Ron Rivera this year. We'll see what Ron Rivera can do to kind of get him out of – I think – Carson Wentz held the ball a little while because he likes to play hero ball too much sometimes.
Yeah.
I think because he was drafted at 2016 number one overall, that kind of brings that hero ball mentality, right? And then, being on Indianapolis, he had some boneheaded decisions against Jacksonville and against a few other teams. Go watch Hard Knocks, Indianapolis Colts. You'll see what I'm saying. You'll understand exactly why they brought him in, but exactly why he's not here anymore.
Oh, no, I know Jacksonville, he had like a 10 QBR?
Yes,
yeah, a lot of
something like that. It was terrible, dude.
A lot of those bigger quarterbacks have slow releases. I mean, let's be honest though. Tom Brady, he's had a good offensive line for majority of his career, but he sometimes he holds the ball just to see what his defense is looking like. He wants to read the coverage and stuff like that, and he's really good at doing that. But those bigger quarterbacks have trouble with holding on the ball too long. Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence. The list could keep going, bro.
Well, I look at it like this. Tom Brady is interesting because it happens to do with pocket presence, right?
Yeah.
I watch the game. Like I said, I like to watch a lot of old film. I'm an old film junkie. So if NFL Films or NFL Network comes on with a game, I watch the game and I study in a different way, right? When you have a chance, if you look at the game the Giants played against Tampa Bay last year, Tom Brady, that line wasn't protecting him that well. The Giants were putting heat on him, but he manipulated and maneuvered the pocket just enough to get the ball out. They put Blaine Gabbert in, and the Giants got a sack instantly. Why? Because Blaine Gabbert doesn't have the pocket presence needed to play quarterback. And I think the problem with the NFL these days and these players in general is that the college game has become such a track meet that they don't really stress the fundamentals anymore like they used to. So then when they come in, you try to bring a game, that track meet doesn't work in the NFL the same way it does in college, because you're not playing Appalachia State where you could beat some guy who's going to be an accountant after his football season's on, right? You're playing guys who, even at their worst, can be elite players. That's one. The other thing is when you, like, I always look at linemen, right? People look at linemen and say, well, why does his lineman need to develop? Well, if you get a lineman from Oregon, or you get a lineman that's not from Georgia or Alabama, those teams play a spread offense. And when you play a spread offense and now you come in and want them to play 12 personnel, those things take time to adjust. And I think the problem with a lot of these teams is that they don't have time to coach anymore. Because this isn't the 90s where you're like, oh, we'll develop a team and in 5 years. I mean, you look at those Buffalo Bills teams, those Cowboy teams, hell, even the Redskins and the Giants in the 80s, they had a chance to build their teams up. And they went from the NFL, which was doing the same thing in college, that they are now. The college game is now so much different. It doesn't even look recognizable. Half the time they don't have quarterbacks playing, or guys who can play quarterback. They have athletes. So it really does change the dynamic of the team. So I can't blame Brady for his offense being offense, but I can give Brady credit for his ability to change and manipulate the pocket. Now, I like Chase Young, but I like Montez Sweat better. People don't.
Can I hit that last one real quick, Adam?
Yes,
I completely.
Which one, this one?
The one with the touchdowns. Up.
The
one you were just on.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back.
No, by authentic. No, you're okay. No, and I understand what he's saying here. You know, McLaren with the 130 plus targets, 1K, and AJ did it with 105. But there's a huge difference between both of these players. One of them had Derrick Henry and one did not. When you have Derrick Henry, bro, everyone is collapsing down in that pocket, and you're getting 1,000 yards on 105. McLaren had to have over 130 to get his 1K because they don't have a Derrick Henry. You know, like, I understand what you're saying, but Henry makes a big splash in these stats. You know,
I agree.
Right, they're always paying attention towards Henry, like the defense, like they're always want to like.
But if we're talking
on this dude, like,
if we're talking sheer talent, I do believe 100% that AJ Brown talent-wise, if you were, this is what I always say to people, all right?
Well, it does take away from the targets, authentic, but it definitely makes AJ Brown way more wide open. If you take Derrick Henry out of that offense, he's not as wide open anymore.
When I'm going to let you, I'm going to let people in on the sauce right now. Cook doesn't always reveal the ingredients to how they do things. But I'm going to let you in on the sauce right now. When I evaluate players, I don't necessarily look at stats because they don't always tell the story. What I do is I have my own little check boxes. And when I put the measurements down on the table between McLaurin and AJ Brown, I'm taking AJ Brown's overall physical ability over McLaurin any day of the week. Now, with that being said, I do like what McLaurin brings to the table, but to me, Brown is a guy that is a possession receiver and has speed and is a red zone threat. McLaurin has burner abilities, and he can do a lot of things. He takes the top.
He's a better route runner. He's a better route runner.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, overall, as a GM, if I had those two in front of me, I'm taking AJ Brown, and it's nothing against Terry McLaurin. I love Terry McLaurin, but to me, I think AJ Brown is there. But with that being said, Carson Wentz is going to make AJ Brown in the conversation of probably one of the best receivers in the game. I look at Terry McLaurin, and his player comp to me is like a Stephon Diggs, a guy that, you know, has speed, can run all the routes, and Stephon Diggs is underrated too. I think Diggs is a very good receiver that doesn't get enough credit because he plays in Buffalo and he plays with Josh Allen. But Stephon Diggs did it as a 5th round pick with Minnesota. And he went to a team with a quarterback and flourished. Now you give McLaren, an actual guy who, like him or not, is a better quarterback than he's seen his entire career. I'm hoping that it really makes us realize how good McLaren is. And not to mention what Jeffrey said, their defense is pretty good. They got Montez Sweat, they got the Payne guy, they got Jonathan Allen, and they got Chase Young. So as much as I want to believe in the Giants' schedule, they have a team that has a pretty good defense right up in Maryland and Washington. But I don't think Washington's going to win more than 8
I
games.
think their defense is overhyped, honestly.
No, it's not their defense. It's their secondary. It's like their secondary.
No, dude, I'm saying their defense because I mean, hell, yes, I understand Chase Young wasn't healthy last year,
Yeah.
and stuff. But even when he was, dude, like for instance, his rookie year, everybody was making a big deal about it. We had Jack Driscoll, a 6th rounder, on our left tackle position, his rookie year. So you had Chase Young, who was a 1st round pick, and then you had our right tackle at the time because Johnson was injured, a 6th round pick taking him on. And do you know our 6th round pick, Jack Driscoll, didn't give up a single sack against him? Not one.
Dude, I mean,
So I mean, but that's I get what you're saying, Slay, but that's the point though. Like they've never shown me anything to be threatened by that defensive front yet. And they've been there for a little over 2 years. So until they do that, I'm not worried about it. Me, as an Eagle fan, because our offensive line is good. You guys, as Giant fans, maybe you have a little to worry about. But I don't see their defensive line really disturbing our offensive line. I'm sorry.
Well,
why do you think their defense is better in Chase Young's rookie year than they were last year? Because their secondary was straight up hot ass. Like
I know that, but still, they didn't really threaten us, though.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
until they do, I'm not worried.
That team wasn't that good last year to begin with, and to be honest, we're talking about right now. I guess the thing is, here's the thing: if we're talking about just defensive talent, that's what we're looking at right here. I can't say they're overrated or not because they played Philadelphia and Philadelphia beat them, right? All I can look at is if they got their team healthy, it's a solid defense on paper. Now, whether or not they perform at that level in a game, that depends on the team that they're playing. But if we're just talking about sheer talent right now, I think their defense is very talented with those guys on there. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles have a solid offensive line, and this will transition into the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'll let you guys have the floor. I believe this year are going to be the best team in the division. And it's for some of the reasons that you stated. One, I think their offensive line is very underrated. I think they don't get enough credit for what they've done on that team. I think that what the Eagles do offensively is very interesting because they don't, this is why I like Nick Sirianni. All right. I don't really know much about him, but what he did was he saw that the first 2 weeks his team wasn't prepared or wasn't working well with the passing game. So what did he do? He said, all right, I'm going to change up to the running game, right? Midstream, he scrapped his whole plan going in and said, let me change it up. And I think that flexibility as a coach allowed the team to kind of play to their strengths and build off of a strong offensive line, which is right now the strength of your team. Your defense, very feisty, like a lot of the personnel you brought in, especially Nakobe Dean. I think people don't understand how good that kid is. I wanted the Giants to pick him, especially when he was falling down in the draft. That to me was very, very good. But to me, I think their defense is feisty. I think they got James Bradbury really helps their secondary. I know he's struggling in practice, but he's got to adjust to what you guys are asking him to do. The hype, though, the only thing I will say if I'm an Eagle fan is I don't want my team talking like they are, and that's why I like A.J. Brown coming out and said, yeah, listen, we're not the superstar team yet. We haven't done anything. I kind of like that as a leader to come out and kind of put some water on the fire and be like, listen, let's just go out there and play before we anoint us, this all-star team. But talent-wise, I think they're in the right direction. I think they've done a lot. I think they're going to be the team that's at the end of it. The rubble, when the dust settles, will be at the top of the division. But fellas, it's your team. This is your time to shine on the hurry up. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I mean, I understand how, people like think of us. I think we're gonna win the division. Like I'll say it right now. I think we're the most talented team in the East, but I think one thing that I'm not a fan of is people like overhyping us to the point where it's like I understand we have talent, but we signed like 5 to 6 to 7 guys on this roster. How are they gonna mesh after like what 5 games? I think it's going to be a slow start, a very slow start, actually. I don't think it's going to be a click out right off the gate. You're going to have to, like, team bond, right? You can't just go to the locker room and just, just play good, like, right off the rip. And it's hard for anyone to do that. As you said, Tyrann Mathieu and the Chiefs defense after 10 games still needed to gel at the right point. But I think this team is getting a little overhyped because, like, we have the talent. I'm not saying we don't have the talent. It's just that when you look at us, I understand that the team is very talented, but you can't expect to just like click right off the gate when in past history it's shown that every single time we get a solid or talented team, we start off at a slow start because we signed like 10 guys on the roster, and the team's gonna look a lot different from where it was last year. And it's like everyone has a team bond. And I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna say we're gonna win like 13, 17.
I have you at 11 wins.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're gonna be at 11 wins too, but there's gonna be a lot of teams that beat us, like especially the Steelers, the Cardinals, the Colts, and there's more teams that I'm forgetting. But
well, listen, I mean, we play the same division, so I see where you're going with that, but you got to give yourself some credit. I mean, you guys were not necessarily supposed to get to the playoffs. You made the playoffs, and let's be honest, in that Tampa Bay game, while Tampa Bay wasn't playing their best game, there were chances for the Eagles to score more points in that game, make it a little closer, so to speak. And as a guy who is an outsider, who plays you guys twice a year, I can only I can only comment on what I see and how I see it playing out. And for me, I just think you have the same coaching staff as last year. You have an understanding, and not to mention you have, unlike the year you had Michael Vick and we had that dream team, this team's a little different. I don't think Nick Sirianni is going to have them be overhyped. They're going to talk now, but like a guy like AJ Brown, he's going to have them boys in the locker room going, because guess what? He was the best. He was on winning teams. He was in divisional rounds for years of the Titans. So he's going to bring them boys together. But anyways, AK, have it.
Yeah. Listen, man, I got us right there with Slay and you. I have us between 11 and 12 wins as well. Like I said, I sit here and I look last year, Jalen Hurts had 10 touchdowns called back on him because, people stepping out of bounds when they shouldn't have or whatever. With AJ and Smith now, Smith is going in his second year. AJ's a vet. You shouldn't have those issues. You shouldn't have corners bullying our wide receivers. So I give us just 2 wins right there, just because of that alone. Our offensive line, man, listen, it better be number 1 this year again. There is no reason not to be. That this team, offensive line wise, is stacked. We have good depth there. You got Dallas Goedert. You got Miles Sanders, which whatever he can be, if he stays healthy. We got some good talent here. And on defense, thank you for Bradbury, by the way. Appreciate that. I'll take him over
He's
Nelson.
Gonna be good, man.
I'll take him over Nelson. I gotta say, man, we did really well this offseason. Really, really well. And there is games on here that might be a surprise. Like I said, it all depends, because there could be some games that we do squeak out that we aren't expecting to. Like maybe that Green Bay game or maybe that Steelers game. Maybe they squeak one out. So, I do have us maybe, like Jeff says, maybe 13 if everything goes perfect. You might get one extra win there on one of these teams that you don't expect. But all in all, man, for the division, I really think we are going to win, but it's going to be like one game. I don't think Dallas has truly fallen off like everyone thinks. I don't think so either. But I know losing Amari Cooper will hurt, but they do have CD. CD proved that he can play. Kid can ball. They did lose some people, but dude, it's Dallas. They could have a really good year. They could have a really bad year, but they still have weapons, man. And I think if we're 12 wins, they'll be at like 10 or 11. It's going to come down to the end of the year. It really is. I don't think it's going to be as easy as everyone thinks it's going to be. But
no, I don't. I think and that's what I told. That's what I told Mac when we were doing our preview. By the way, people check out Mac and Adam doing the NFC East roundup every week. We'll gladly let you guys comment in, but we're definitely going to comment about the NFC East. But one of the things I said to him was, everyone's like, "Oh, we got a soft schedule." Guess what? We play the Eagles in week 18. And if the Eagles and Cowboys have the division title on the line, the Eagles aren't just going to rest their players because they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to want to win. So this is why I keep telling people, don't tell me about an easy schedule until it happens, all right? Until we're in a place. I think the Giants season is going to be over by Thanksgiving. I think the Cowboys are going to goodnight the lights on us come Thanksgiving while we're eating our turkey. But this is talking about the Eagles. So for me, like I said, the Giants played the Eagles last game of the year, and most of the Giants, I don't know if this is the same, but the rest of the NFC East play at the end of the year, the last 6 or 7 games, right? And I think that's across the NFL. So you're going to see a lot of division races tighten up as we go. And that's why I think because the Giants went 1-5 last year in the division, I don't see them going at best 3-3 in the division and splitting some games. But all these teams are going to be in it. Washington may be in the wild card hunt. Philadelphia and the Dallas Cowboys are probably going to be fighting for the division. So those last couple games of the year are going to be critical going down the stretch. So for me, this is why I think the Eagles will win. Also, here's another fun stat if we're going down history, that 2004, there hasn't been a repeat NFC East champion since 2004. Okay, the only division in football that hasn't had a repeat champion back-to-back. So that's another reason why I'm picking the Eagles, because the Cowboys won last year. The Redskins won the year prior to that, right? And I think the Eagles won prior to that. So there haven't been a back-to-back winner in over almost 20 years. So that's another reason why I think the Eagles are going to win. But that brings us to our last and final team of the NFC preview, the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry. I forgot who we were talking to here, the Crybabies. The Cowboys. But let's get into this shit show of a team that every year gets picked to go to the Super Bowl, but yet never always comes up short. And the Cowboy fans are funny. They talk a lot of smack, They talk a lot of smack for a team that hasn't won a damn title in
27-year drought.
3 playoff games in 25 years, and they're like, oh, we're the cream of the crop. Give me a damn break, okay? Give me a damn break, all right? The Cowboys, this is what I hate about the Cowboys. 1, Cowboy fans. 1, they're delusional, okay? 2, they act like Dak Prescott's the best quarterback they've ever had. I mean, hello, Troy Aikman. He was there. I mean, granted, you may not have been around for when he won titles, but let's give a little bit of credit to Troy Aikman. And I hate Tony Romo, but I think was a better overall prospect than Dak Prescott. But with that being said, I think there's a lot of turmoil going on with this team, with their coach, with going on in the backseat. I think they like what's the guy's name? Quinn. I think he's going to be good. I think Amari Cooper leaving is not going to hurt the team because CeeDee Lamb is pretty good. People forget how good CeeDee Lamb is. And not for nothing, Michael Gallup ain't no slouch neither. Okay. And they got Dalton Schultz, who they franchise. Cowboys, if you really want to do something, sign that man. Stop nickel and diming him because they had a good season last year. And Zeke Elliott, I like Tony Pollard better, but hey, that's it's semantics. Yeah. I think Tony Pollard gives him more versatility in the offense. Zeke Elliott should be regulated to the number 2 back, and here's why. When you got Tony Pollard running around, you're running up and down the field, bringing in a fresh guy like Zeke in this 3rd, 4th quarter.
Red zone.
Yeah, and you have a lead of a game to wear out that defense. That's where I think he's going to do best at. But, hey, again, Zeke Elliott, you paid him all that money. He's going to start defensively. I think they have some up-and-coming players. Micah Parsons is one. The Diggs kid is pretty good, although I do believe he's slightly overrated. But we can get into that later. But overall, I think the Cowboys are the number 2 team in the division just because I don't think they're as good as they let on. I think that the Eagles, as I picked before, are going to win 11 games. The Cowboys, I have them at 10 wins, 10-7. I think the Washington Commanders are going to win 8 games. I think that the Giants are going to win 7. So with that being said, I think 2 teams are going to make the NFC East. Guys, what do you guys think about the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, listen, man, I really like what hold on, who was it? Authentic set up there on the 2000 2005. Dude, I'm with him. Dak reminds me a lot of Donovan McNabb. And I'm not saying statistically, I'm saying, listen, Donovan McNabb had great regular seasons.
They both broke their ankles.
We're not going to lie. Like, Donovan was a beast, man. But when it came to playoffs, he was shit. And I'm not even playing, bro. He never got it done. That's one thing that pissed me off about Donovan. You know, he was great in the regular season, but when it came to winning most and the most important one, he could never get it done. And I kind of put Dak in that category. You know, he's a great quarterback in the regular season. I ain't gonna lie. You know, I can only know so much. You know, his stats, his touchdowns, all that. It speaks for itself. But to me, Dak is just a stat guy. You know, same as Kirk Cousins. They'll win games. They'll get it done. He's just a better Kirk Cousins. You know, he makes it look good, dude. But when it comes to the real games, the playoffs, he doesn't do it. And I never think that he will. I just don't see Dak getting it done, dude. You know, and last year when he made that mistake of running with 14 seconds left and sliding and then not giving the ref the ball and blah, 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 and blowing that game, bro, you can sit there and say, I didn't know, but dude, you've known that since you've been playing Pee-wee fucking football.
That was when he was like, I didn't know there was an overtime rule. Like,
like, dude, that's shit they teach you in Pee-wee. You know, like, you have to give the ump the ball. You have to. The ref has to touch the ball. And I don't get it, man. Like, and the other one, you know, he had 3 number 1 wide receivers. Could not get it done. Granted, listen, man, they have talent. They got Parsons. They got Jabril Cox, who I think is going to have a pretty good season for them this coming year. I wanted him on the Eagles, but they have a good team. It's just I don't think Dak's the answer, man. I really don't.
You could definitely win a championship.
Before you speak,
you say that, bro, but he has not shown it yet, bro.
No, you could definitely win a championship.
I can't say definitely, man. Until he proves it, I can't say that.
I mean, I understand what you're
big
saying.
Play. I'll give you the floor, but I just want to make a comment about the thing you said about the down and distance. That as a quarterback, to me, you need to know everything that goes on the field. So the fact that he didn't know that play is a terrible excuse because it's been happening day in and day out. They run the 2-minute offense in practice. So they have a referee that does that in practice for you. Okay? This is not like his rookie season where if his rookie season he did that and he said, I don't understand, I could say that. Well, Donovan McNabb did the same thing. He's like, I didn't know about the overtime rule. I'm like, dude, you've been in the league 8 or 9 years. You didn't know you could tie in the NFL? Come on. You know what I mean? You've been in the league 4 or 5 years. You didn't know the ref had to touch the ball first? Come on, the execution as well was bad in the play.
That's what I was saying, bro. That shit they teach you in you know, like 4 years old. You've known that shit in high school. They do that shit in high school. They do it in college. The ump always has to touch the ball. Like what are you sitting there, you know, messing around, giving the ball to the center to place it? You know that fucking rule, dude. Like that's the same rule you've played with your whole life. You can't make that mistake. And you're telling me, you know, and listen, you can say, oh, it's Dak. That's why you're saying it. No, I gave Tom Brady the same shit a couple years back when he put up 4 fingers. Oh, that was 4th down? Dude, Tom, you're like 42 years old. You should have known that was 4th down.
Like I don't know what happened there on that play, but like, you know, like if the down and distance marker was off, okay, that's one thing. But if it says 4th down, like, what are you doing? Are you looking at the sky? Right? Are you looking into the sky? Like, are you looking at?
And that's Tom Brady, dude, the GOAT. Right. So if I'm not giving Tom that excuse, I'm not sure as fuck giving Dak that excuse. And Dak did that in year 6 in the NFL. He was 6 years in.
Yeah.
And these are the type of things that your coach goes over with you. It's not like Dak, they don't produce. Like, I can't think that the NFL would be that underprepared where they're like, oh, you know, Dak, this rule is not happening. Like the Tuck rule, we can get into it. I think it was a fumble, but the rules like that, I understand. If you don't know a rule by the letter of the law, fine. But every play, the ref has to touch the ball, and then he runs out of the way, right? So to me, it's like you can't be that naive because that to me is a naive cop-out. Oh, I didn't know that was a rule. No, bro, that was a rule. You should have known it. You lost the game. Your execution was poor on that play as well. And, like, you got to know, run out of bounds. Don't run 14 yards. Run out of bounds. And run and save your timeouts, and you're not in that situation.
Well, you can't sit there and tell me Dak did not know there was 14 seconds left. You can't tell me that. The dude knew how much time was left. Yes, like that, dude. Those play clocks are very well displayed. He knew how much time was left.
Well,
He knows the run out of bounds. He knew that he could have threw an out route or something. Granted, maybe no one was open, but then run the fuck out of bounds. Save yourself some time.
but I want to make a point about what you're saying about that. It's like I see guys looking at the video board and they're running downfield to see where opponents are coming, right? So you can't tell me that you're not looking at the video board, not understanding the down and distance when you're at home. The clock guy is going to favor you. He's going to make sure you have everything that you need. He's not going to go play, some dumb thing or make the clock go wonky. You need to know down and distance. And I think those are the type of things that cost you games. Right? Tom Brady gets away with it because Tom Brady is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. I could be like, all right, Tom, whatever, bro. But we know, and Tom makes a lot of excuses. Dak Prescott, I can't, especially in a game that, is that critical. You can't make that. You can't do that in that game.
Bro, you got to go back and watch that authentic. It was not a QB draw. He dropped back to pass it. No one was open, and he took off. That was definitely a pass play, dude.
I thought when they designed it, it was a QB draw. Like they designed it.
If they truly called a QB draw with 14 seconds left, I'm not gonna blame Dak. That's fucking stupid as shit. But I really don't think that was, dude. I don't know, dude. Mike McCarthy should have known better then. Like no lie.
Kellen Moore should have known.
Any of them. Dude, even if Mike McCarthy called it, Kellen Moore should have turned around and been like, "Are you fucking stupid? 14 seconds left, QB draw." Like somebody should have stopped that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but
yeah, that was definitely designed. No, I'm sorry, that was definitely designed. Mike McCarthy only makes decisions like that, bro, and Kellen Moore.
Well, and obviously,
I want to try to look back at that play.
Yeah, see that even authentic saying they had enough time. Dak fucked up. He did.
I'm sorry, bro. Kellen Moore does not deserve a head coaching job. Like I understand the hype around him, but he does not deserve a head coaching job. People want to just say it way too early. Like he's a good offensive coordinator. I'm not taking that away from him, but he's never led an actual team. Like an actual team, unless he was a quarterback. He never led him as a coach. Like a head coach. You have to lead 53 guys. You know how hard that is, bro?
No, what I think needs to happen is it needs to be put on the blame for a lot more people, okay? That is on the coach and it's on the player, okay? Because the coach needs to really realize into him. If you look at the good coaches, they'll always say, hey, we got 14 seconds here. Just make sure you get the ball out of your hands or spike it or whatever, right? Yeah. So if I don't have the play in front of me. So
that was a QB draw. Yeah, it was a QB draw. They just didn't time it right. They get, like as Authentic said, they couldn't get it off the fly. So
like your coach
hit it.
So pretty much what you're saying is Dak should have slid sooner.
Yeah, he should have just slid a lot sooner.
Well, the thing is, even as a design run to the out of bounds, give yourself some play clock. Don't try, like if he had an open field like Daniel Jones did and you had 80 yards to the end zone, then you run and you let the time expire, you walk off, you win the game. But in this crucial moment, your coach comes in and he calls a QB draw. You got to ask yourself a question. Should we be running this play? Because sometimes I look at players and I think they need to take a little bit more ownership on changing a play up at the line, right? Case in point, Giants 2004 playing the Cowboys. They have a designed play called in. Eli Manning, whether he changes the play or not, looks like he changes the play to a run. Blah, 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 judging by what the defense is giving you. So now you have a run play, and you're actually going to call that play when you know that you have to get down and spike the football, and you have a bunch of guys who are fat and can't run 40s like you, who have to get down there and spike the ball. And then when you get down there and spike the ball, your offensive line is not ready, and you're making substitutions, which is the reason why it's taking the ref a long time to get down there, because they need the other team to make substitutions. As soon as he touches the ball and you get down there, he blows the whistle and you're not ready because you're trying to spike the ball before the other team is ready. That's what they try to do. They try to
I completely disagree with what Olivia said. I don't think it's the audible that can call. I feel like that's so unfair to the guy, but it was like literally off the fly. I mean, he had no choice just to like run and like inbounds. He had to just like take a slide, and even then, they were not gonna get that off.
Exactly, and Adam makes that point, Slay, and I love what he just said too. Like, how are you expecting to run that play, get all of your fat linemen down there with 14 seconds left? Like, that was the dumbest thing ever. Like, you had to trust all of your 300-plus linemen to get all the way down there, line up, snap the ball, spike the ball, all that shit in 14 seconds. That's really asking a lot.
And not to mention, you were substituting players in. So when you do that, the NFL by rule has to hold the ball a half a second before so the other team can fairly sub in. Okay. Yeah. And because they were subbing in, the refs didn't touch the ball quite yet. He downed the ball, but he hadn't put it in play yet. And Dak wanted to hike the ball when the defense of whatever team, I forget what team they were playing, was even ready. Right. So then to me, you need to understand that, okay, I got to spike the ball. And not only do I got to spike the ball and get down there, but then I got to rely on the refs and the substitutions. The Cowboys, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure the chat will correct me because they are pretty good, yeah. I think they were substituting at that particular moment. And so with that being said, the ref has to hold the football like that. He has to do those things because that's how the rule is on the letter of the land. So you're trying to get up there and spike the ball because it's placed down because you put it down there. He has to adjust the ball to where he thinks it's going, and then as he adjusts the ball, can blow the whistle and then run to the back so he can watch whatever is going on. The play was poorly executed, poorly coached, and there's a reason why Mike McCarthy's fat ass is on the hot seat. It's because of plays like this. You know, I'm just saying, the only team that I know that can have winning coaches and fire their asses because of stupidity.
Like for instance, let's go back to that fucking Dallas Green Bay game in the playoffs real fast. Whenever Dallas lost Aaron Rodgers right there at the end, did they run the ball or did Rodgers roll out and slam one right over to Rodgers on the sideline for what was that, like a 20-yard catch with like 3 seconds left to kick a field goal and win that shit? Right. Like, dude, that's what they should have been doing, not running the fucking ball.
Well, if that's a design rollout, I want to know, first off, a lot of people give the coach the blame, right? But if your offensive coordinator is calling the game, and mind you, you have a headset on. It's not like Mike McCarthy has earplugs and is eating at the buffet line and say, here you go, Kellen Moore, call whatever you fucking want. You know, you are the head coach. You have to. This is the same argument I had with Joe Judge last year when they're saying run 3rd and 9. Like, really? That's the call you're going to make? I would have turned around to Kellen Moore and be like, what the hell's wrong with you? I would have been like, why are we running a QB draw with 14 seconds to go when we have no timeouts? Because even though you execute that in practice, you need the 14. You should have had at least 1 second on the clock. But because you ran the ball and Dak hesitated to whatever he done. Again, I don't have the play in front of me. Whether or not it's 100% draw, I don't know if it was a first down or not. Regardless, once you get it 10 yards, you should have went down to the ground, got up, spiked the football, and had a few seconds left. The fact that you ran the extra few yards, then got down, and then expected your entire team to come down there with substitutions doesn't help out.
No, they definitely got that play off the fly. Like, you just don't run that at the end of the game, bro.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, man. That's like you guys running a QB sneak on 3rd and 9. Like, you just don't do that. You really don't, man.
They were still down 6 points, trying to get one more shot. Let's keep it real. Dallas lost the game way before that play. Oh, I understand all that 100%. All I'm saying, all our discussion is, and again, I'm sorry that I don't know. I'm sorry I don't have. I understand the play, but I don't have it in front of me, so I don't want to say anything wrong. But yes, as the ref is running into him, he needs to know this. The ref runs to the back. That's the back judge. That's the guy who's calling holding on your play because his job is to watch the offensive lineman. So he has to place the ball, blow the whistle, get his guys in place, and run. And like I said, I don't have the play in front of me, so I can't comment on it. So I don't want to know. But either way, you have to touch the ball to make it live. He touched the ball before it was live, and the ref wasn't even out of his way to get there. So I'm not going to blame the ref because the ref gets in the way of a lot of people. You know, the play starts from the San Francisco 40-yard line. There was no substitution. Jack got the ball to the 23-yard line. Even if you get one more shot, it's likely you don't score. That is true. I'm looking at it now. Can you drop that link into the chat, please, Authentic, so I can also view it as well, so I can give the viewership an eye on it. I know you do a great job. He does a great job. Authentic.
Wait, you said Dak got to the 23-yard line on that play?
on that play. He got
No, bro, if that's the case, why the fuck didn't he slide sooner? Because hell, their kicker can. Oh wait, they can't. They
were
couldn't.
down
couldn't.
6.
They were
Yeah, that's right.
down
They were down by 6. Yeah.
But
No.
if you're running a Hail Mary anyways,
Yeah,
or
yeah. But if you're at the 23, slide sooner. Like
the thing is that the
I gotta look at that play. I really do.
yeah, authentic. If you can drop that in the comments, the link. I don't know if you can do that, but we'd love to look at it. I don't know how to link.
Well, let me see if I can find it for you real fast while you talk.
Now I would trust Kyler Murray on that player, Lamar Jackson.
Or Lamar, yeah, dude, or even Hurts at that point. I mean,
no, I don't.
Well, decent shot at the end zone. I mean, 30 yards is a decent
Yeah.
shot to the end zone. You're not. I mean, he has an arm. He can throw it from the Green Bay 40 and make it to the end zone.
well, I'm saying just in the running aspect,
Right.
like
I mean, Hurts is-
Lamar, Hurts, stuff like that. Like,
Russell Wilson.
I don't know about Hurts, but
is
Lamar
is the prime example of a guy who understands what a QB draw. First off, I don't understand why you run a QB draw on that play. Regardless, why are you running a run play? I have no idea. When you should be running a pass play, even though you're at the 40-yard line. You know, I get what Authentic's trying to say, and he wants a decent shot, but you know, when we get that play, I'm sorry, Authentic man. I know you're commenting on it, and I'm not saying I'm not disagreeing with you. I just like to see with my own eyes, you know, before I.
all right, I got it. You ready?
Yep.
Or wait, hold up. That's 28. Why the hell is that 28 minutes? I don't want the 28-minute version. Jesus. Well, I guess we can go there. You can just fast forward to it.
Yes.
All right, I got it.
Holy crap!
So I want what? Do I hit share?
Yes.
Just share it. Yeah.
I've never done it this way before. And then what? Share to.
Share, and then you click your share screen, and then you click whatever tab that's open that you have that on. And then you just share the screen.
Oh, yeah, I guess I can do it on my end. Yeah, I forgot. This is my.
Go ahead, man.
Derp,
Derp, derp.
derp, derp. There we go.
All right, there it
Right.
is.
There's AK screen. We'll add it up there. Let's make it big for you people. That's what she said. Okay, so
Oh.
here we go.
Do I need to do it big, or do you have it? You want me to full screen it?
I full screened it already, so you can hit play.
Okay.
We need to fast forward to the again. Look at this. How many? This is the blind leading the blind here, people.
Right.
Once he gets it uploaded to the correct position, we can then have a discussion.
Let's see where we're at here.
He's a great content creator.
Here we are. Right here.
Go up to him and the beard, best friends, talking about the NFC East. Love to have them on the NFC East Roundup show. Authentic. DM me and Mac, and we'll get you on that show, you and the beard, to talk some NFC East football. But here we are. Here's the play. They're down to win the game. Here's the audio. They're at the 50-yard line. 1st and 10. 18 seconds. Dallas just called timeout. Drops. What the fuck?
That man is not looking to run.
Drop back.
On that play.
Boom.
See, that's the play right there. They should have ran 14 seconds left. Another out route, not a fucking QB draw.
Right.
Okay, now the play that's coming, they're trying to
it technically
run.
wasn't marked for first down. It wasn't marked for a first down, right? So, and they have is that? Oh no, they don't have a timeout. I thought I saw a timeout.
Jimmy Gar.
No, they don't have any timeouts.
Look at this Cowboy fan. It was great.
He knows. He already knows.
Here's Cowboy.
All right, this play. This is
second and
definitely
1. You need to know the down and distance. 2nd and 1, down and distance. This is not a time you run that play. What happened here? Penalty?
Yeah, something. They stopped it for some reason. Oh, timeout.
I think what they seen it off the fly, like when they called that play, Dak probably seen that there was like no one in the middle, so he tried to get there as fast as possible. But he's not Kyler Murray with that speed, so he can't get there as
Is it lagging on your guys' end?
Yes.
a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right, so it's not just me.
No, it's probably lagging because we have 4 people in here and it's streaming and all this shit, technology. Okay, 2nd and 1, down and distance. You're at the 40-yard line of the 49ers. To set the tone for people who don't know, getting you my play-by-play skills. We're looking at Mike Shanahan's face. He needs to shave, a little shave. Make that gray go right away.
They're definitely trying to run this play. No one's in the back. He was just trying to take off.
Yeah, this was the empty backfield. Let's see here.
All right, that was a design QB.
That was, yeah.
I thought he held it longer.
Yeah, you probably
But you
think
know
about
what
the
it
play
is?
before.
We know why it's so dumb is because you're in a passing formation. Look, he's trying to get around. There's the issue right there. So, okay, first off, the play call is completely dumb. You do a design quarterback draw on pass play, and you run to the middle of the field with no timeouts. Stupid. If I'm Kellen Moore, everyone telling me how good Kellen Moore was. That's the most boneheaded call I've ever seen in this situation. Why are you not, like AK is saying, throwing to the outside?
And then even if you get the playoff, like how are you going to get
And you
it?
don't even have the first down. All you have to do is run to the out of bounds line and get your play in. Get as many yards you're going. Slide at the 30. Get the first down. Slide at the 30 or 30 yards. Look, he runs to 23. If he were to slide at the 30-yard line, get the first down, get up and spike, he could have ran a Hail Mary, right?
Yeah.
They're playing prevent defense. There's no way you're going to get here. They're going to let you take as much time as you want on the clock.
And they're
and that's what I was trying to say. All right, I can stop this now. And that's what I was trying to say, Authentic. Like when you look at that play with 14 seconds left, dude, if you would have thrown it, you could have thrown it 2 more times, especially if you got out of bounds. Now, granted, you are right. They were playing the sidelines, but dude, that's what these coaches get paid to do. They get paid to scheme this shit out to put their teams in good positions to win, and that was not a good position to win.
But it is a sideline defense.
Even then, you didn't need to draw a draw play. You could have did a quarterback sneak, got the first down, got up and spiked the ball, and had your 2 chances at the end zone, right?
That is true. That is true. You could have just got 1 yard, dropped, and spiked it. I mean,
how many times do they call pass interference, right? You throw the ball in the back of the end zone and the guy flags you for it, right? You never know what happens. Look what happened with Green Bay against Detroit. They did that Hail Mary play, and they had that Rodgers guy catch a touchdown because they had everybody ready to go, and it was timing. These are things, authentic. I guarantee you that I understand the down and distance, but these are what coaches work on. This is what Bill Belichick does. This is what good coaches do. They don't say, hey, let's run a shotgun draw when everybody is waiting and playing prevent defense. Okay, you do something else to get your 2 shots in the end zone because I have a better shot at getting a play. The game. That's why I said the game was over. Yes, the game was over, but they were only down by 1 possession wins the game. A Hail Mary, a touchdown, a flag. Who knows? I've seen crazier things happen. Now, honestly, the 49ers dominated that football game. Again, it shouldn't have been as close as it was. The 49ers had Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback. With that being said, the Cowboys are still the second team in the division. They're still going to be the Cowboys. Their fans are going to talk, even if their team was booty, which it is. But this, folks, the stream has gone on almost 2 hours. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat who came out. I'd like to thank AK and BPS for helping me along here. I had technical difficulties starting out, but you guys came on, and the stream turned out to be a lot better than when I started it. So I appreciate you guys helping me out and walking me through. Let them know where they can find you or where they can find all of us. Let the crowd know what's going on.
Go ahead, sir.
Big Play Slay on Twitter, Instagram. It's Manny 2 times, like Manny2X. And then you have YouTube, the same name, Big Play Slay and stuff like that. But you could go subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network. I guess that's where you could find everyone.
Way to show up, Mitch.
I just got home from lunch.
Yeah, but that's where you can find me, though.
But let them know where they can find you, Mitch.
Well, you can find me on Hardcore Sports Network, Mitch Coxey, all that stuff. We got a lot of big stuff coming.
AK?
Yeah. No, I'm still with Authentic on that, man. 2 Hail Marys, though. Yeah, because 1 Hail Mary would have taken 8 seconds off, and you still had 8 seconds to do another one.
Yeah,
so.
and
Hail Mary. What?
They play such a deep zone that I don't know how you're going to put the ball in the right spot if you're that.
It's a better chance than what they had.
They could have done so many more different things.
I mean, especially when you have freaking Amari Cooper and CD. I mean, you would think you'd use them in that situation.
Million dollar receiver. You throw it up to him. And
I
got it.
StreamYard, dude. StreamYard does it. I logged in this morning, and your logo was on mine, too. So,
like, I could do the same thing right now.
Just change the background. That's all.
Yeah. But
listen, Slay's a Giants fan now.
now
he's saying that real quick.
I am super stoked that you took my invite, Adam. I love your energy. I love the passion that you bring to all football, not just your team. The energy is unmatched, dude. No lie. So I love it, and I hope everybody does what he's doing, because, passion is what sells. But yeah, no lie. I appreciate each and every one who has joined me in this adventure with the hardcore sports. It has taken off. It is doing well. So I appreciate all the love and support from everyone in the chat and everyone that has joined me. We're going to do some big things here. So please keep, viewing and watching, because whenever these big things take off, which will be around football season time, there will be no looking back. I got some of the most dedicated people in this network, and they're going to do whatever they can to get themselves out there in this network. So I appreciate all the support you guys give and all the shows you guys are doing. You can sub me up at AK Eagles podcast. You can find me on Hardcore Sports. You can find me everywhere, man. I am always around doing things, and I am on the road to 1K, so appreciate you guys. Appreciate you doing the show, Adam. Thank you so much for filling a gap today. It was a great conversation, and can't wait to do it again.
And Adam, you and I will play racquetball.
I'd like to say thanks to everybody in the chat. Authentic NYG22, a lot of you guys in there. Thank you. AK, I want to say thank you to you for extending the invite to me. I can only be who I am, and that's who I've always been.
That's who I want you to be, dog. Don't change.
I'm not changing for anybody. I'm not changing.
Good man.
I'll if I don't like something you say, I'm going to roast you. That's what I do. Okay. If you got something to say, and
you know what, we just roast Slay.
Listen,
that's basically what we do.
If you're a content creator and you say something and I happen to find it, I'm gonna roast you if I don't like it. If you can't take it, don't be a content creator, because that's what you get. I'm sure if Daniel Jones blows up, every receipt that I've said that he's gonna be bad, you're gonna be in my inbox. So I'm a man. I'm a man of my word. I love what I do. You guys have given me a platform to talk on. I've been doing this since 2011. Check out my videos. I've actually done it longer than that, but before YouTube was all these content creators, I was on there having no fans, just telling you about all types of sports. And I came back recently out of retirement, I guess you could say, and a lot of you guys have inspired me. AK, I like your passion. You're an Eagle fan, but you don't blow. You're not an asshole to me when we talk Eagles football. So and you as well, Big Play Slay. So I can respect you guys' opinions. A lot of my Eagle fan friends, I can't say that about, but you guys have been very, very good to me. So I appreciate you guys letting me be a part of your platform and being a part of this. You can find me on the Hurry Up on my channel, or using this StreamYard, you can find it on my channel. I do the Hurry Up. Sometimes I do a stand-up, which is just breaking news, or I do something like this. And these lovely gentlemen came on and helped me. I also have a show called Premium Takes, where me, Mac Giant Fan, Jeffrey T, and Zion talk about all sports, even wrestling. I know people don't like wrestling.
Four goats, man. The four goats.
We do AEW watch along every Wednesday on my channel. So
we call ourselves the Four Horsemen of YouTube. And that's what we do. It's a little wrestling pun. And then the last show we have is coming up this July, starting July 20th, the NFC East Roundup with Mac the Giant Fan. We talk everything NFC East. Be there. It's going to be fire. Our first show got over a lot more views than we expected, so we expect to have big things. We might have some guests come on from Hardcore Network or guys in the chat, but we'll let you know what's coming on. But again, thanks to everybody. NFL training camps start July 20th. Buckle up, people. The road to the Lombardi starts in July. Let's go.
Well, and hey, Adam, another thing too, man, is I want everyone to realize too, I know we all have teams, and I know we all support those teams, and we support those content creators of those teams. But the one thing I've learned on YouTube, and yes, I've only been doing this a little over a year, but it's not about the teams, man. It's about the content creators and the people that we surround ourselves with. Because ultimately, yes, we might dislike the other people's team, but we all as content creators have one goal in mind, and that's to be monetized and to bring you guys the best content that we can for our team and any other team. So definitely go hit that subscribe button, whether you like the team or not, because you're supporting the content creator, not the team. Because we all have a goal. And we're all working towards that same goal. So we all got to work together to do it. And so I plead my fans and my people who follow me, follow these guys. Yes, they might be Giant fans, or they might be Washington fans or Bucks fans, but they are content creators. They are good people, and they know their craft. So definitely just go show them love. And even if you show them love, hey, you're getting to know thy enemy, right? So it's a win-win. So appreciate it.
Alex, I'm trying to make it to training camp this year. I live a lot farther away than I did last time. I lived in the backyard of Giant Stadium, and every year I lived in Rutherford, I went to the Giant training camp. So this year I don't live that close anymore, but I will try to make it up. I'll let you guys know in case you guys want to meet me up there. We could chop it up and talk football and yell at Paul Dottino and Jordan Rodon and all the other beat writers that walk around thinking that they know everything. But anyways,
You guys do it in New York?
they do it in Rutherford, East Rutherford.
Rutherford? Okay.
It's up at MetLife Stadium this year. It used to be up in Albany,
Okay.
New York. When I was an intern with the Giants, I slept in Albany in their dormitories with the team. We went out to Albany to have some drinks. Albany is a weird looking city, but they don't do it anymore. They got the facility there. So Fan Fest is in August. It should be it's called the Blue and White Scrimmage. We'll really find out a lot there, but I will be there. But like I said, closing up the show, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. AK, BPS, Mitch, help me out at the beginning of this. This has been great. I love doing this. I love talking sports, talking football, talking shop with all you guys, and I'll see you guys around. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Adam, I challenge you to racquetball.
Racquetball it is.